What is going on, guys? MMA Island team, we got the fight picks and we got UFC 255. Pretty underrated pay-per-view card. We were actually just talking about this. A lot of people are hating on this pay-per-view card. I don't think it's the greatest of pay-per-views, but
I'm
I
just
think
happy that it's Figgy, bro.
exactly. So there you go. People get their Figueiredo fun, but they were hoping for
They do.
Cody Garbrandt, but we'll save it for the main event. We're not talking about this one, and this is a very, very good fight. It feels like yesterday that this fight was announced because it was pretty recently because what do you know? Joaquin Buckley, a guy who I couldn't really pronounce his name to start it off, and that's on me for not ever hearing the name Joaquin. I don't know how because ever since I've heard it a little bit more. But Joaquin Buckley, man, taking on Impa Kasanganay. And I picked Impa Kasanganay, and I think a lot of people did because Kasanganay looked really good. And I'll hold back a little bit because talking about Buckley, man, the Holland fight, I know he got knocked out. I know he got dropped twice, but I thought he looked so good in that one outside of getting dropped.
He put up a good fight.
He put up a great fight. I was so impressed by him. And I think that I kind of just held Kasanganay in a little bit too high regard, and I think that's why I picked Buckley in this one. Man, the thing is, just to talk about Buckley to start this off, obviously I'll get into what you guys know I'm going to get into, but the thing is about Buckley is he's got just such a boxer's stance, and I'm not a striker by any means, but wow, he's got such a great stance. You can just tell that he just wants to take your head off. And he's got some very fast hands and very powerful hands. And man, knockout of the year. I wouldn't say knockout of all time, greatest knockout of all time. I would
Of the
say
decade, maybe.
I wouldn't say that.
20s. Well, because it is.
I would say Masvidal Askren. That's my number.
I think this is a better knockout than Masvidal Askren.
I think Masvidal Askren, just because I think the lead up for Masvidal Askren felt like a year.
Yeah, and also when I watched that, I was in complete shock. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak.
So loud. But yeah, talking about this one, man, it's kind of a weird situation. I think how I know I'm impressed by a fighter is when I pick against them and they get a wild finish and I go, oh, I scream, I start jumping around and clapping. Like I look like an idiot just because I'm so excited by it. And man, that was 100% the case with Kasanganay. I've never seen anything like that, and very Taekwondo-like. I'm a good friend with a buddy of mine, Chase Scantlebury. Comes from a Taekwondo background. Shout out to you, you're a great dude. And I messaged him right away, and I showed him this knockout, and he was like, "Man, that is Taekwondo to a T." And he loved it. He loved the knockout. So he's showing that sort of that striking background. We haven't seen this sort of ground game from him, but Jordan Wright, talking about this dude as well. I love both of these fighters, if you can't tell. A guy who's 11-0, all finishes, and a guy who we saw in his last fight taking on Isaac Villanueva. Obviously, we've seen
who's a scrub, by the way,
from Villanueva. We saw him get
absolute scrub.
We saw him get blasted by Chase Sherman. We saw him get blasted by Jordan Wright with a picture perfect spinning heel kick. Awesome, man. To see a light heavyweight it was perfect. It was beautiful. And another thing that I didn't know until after this fight, just because I need to start watching Dana White Contender Series, he got knocked the hell out by Anthony Hernandez in 2018. Ruled a no contest now. Obviously, he's 11-0. He's undefeated. But yeah, he got knocked out. And it was a really interesting situation that I read up on because both of them tested positive for marijuana. So it got ruled a no contest. I think when it comes from like simple terms, if they both test positive for it, it's like, hey, leave it the way it is because like they both tested for it. So who cares? But yeah, they both tested positive for marijuana and that gets turned back to a no contest. And man, he got knocked out, man. He got put out cold. I think the thing was what happened was when I announced it on Headline Island, I saw someone comment and they're like, wasn't Jordan Wright the guy who got knocked out by Anthony Hernandez? And I'm like, no, he's undefeated. So then I went to the recent fights and I saw that he had a no contest that lasted 40 seconds. And what do you know? So who am I picking in this one? Leaning towards Buckley. I think it's a decent amount of confidence just because, man, the thing is we haven't seen Wright go out there and beat this sort of higher competition. And Anthony Hernandez, If you talked to me about Anthony Hernandez maybe 2 years ago, I would have said, dude, that dude could be a killer. But then he goes on to get submitted by Marcus Perez, knocked out in the first round by Kevin Holland.
Kevin Holland.
So, yeah, obviously Perez and Holland. Shout out to Rikus Duplessis. Check out my interview with him. The dude's a great guy, and he's someone you got to watch for sure. I can't hold Anthony Hernandez in too high regard either. So when you're getting knocked out cold, I know it's a no contest. I know that. But again, from simple terms, it's like if they both test positive, again, getting tested positive for marijuana in the first place, it's like I don't really think that's something that should be ruled a no contest, because what sort of performance enhancing is that giving you?
None.
Like, it's ridiculous. I think it's something that totally needs to be looked at, and I would love to talk to some fighters. Like, go check out Zach's interview with Jamal Hill. They had a really interesting conversation about that. So, yeah, again, I'm leaning towards Buckley. I just think what we've seen in Buckley, I think Kasanganae is a beast, and he knocked him out. And not only did he knock him out, he was piecing him up before that as well. So it's not just a fluke. It's not just like, oh, he was holding on for too long and he ended up getting caught. That is the case in that sort of sequence, but through the most of the fight, it was leading to be a decision win for Buckley if he were to not finish him. So I got to go with Buckley, man. I just love this dude's power. And if you guys are hearing my words right now, make sure you watch and you think of me when you see Buckley come in and he's got that whole boxer stance. Man, that dude just looks tough. Looks so tough. And I'm not one to look into appearance. As a dude who looks pretty weak himself, and I know I'm pretty athletic, I hold that in very low stance. But yeah, speaking of stances, man, watch Buckley. Let's pass it on to Zach.
Yeah, you were saying this one has a lot of confidence. This one is the second most confident pick on the entire card, if not the third, but it is up there with one of my most confident picks. Joaquin Buckley is pretty much going to win this fight because Jordan Wright, he is the definition of a record patter. His first 5 fights have a combined record of 0-45.
What?
0-45.
That is insane.
It's
no
insane.
Way.
It's true. Look at the Tapology page. This guy fights scrubs. That's it. He does not fight good fighters. Joaquin Buckley fights good fighters. And the thing with Joaquin Buckley is just he is so stylistically impressive because this guy puts on an insane pace. His pace that he puts up is so hard to match. Yeah, you're just looking at the thing. It's true.
Let me just say this real quick. John Lee, 0-1. Ramon Dawson, 0-2. Toby O'Neill, 0-6. Andrew Wright, 0-2. Edward Darby, 0-22. Wow, that is a crazy stat. Shout out to Zach. Wow.
Yeah, this guy beats scrubs. Joaquin Buckley, not a scrub. As I was saying, his fast pace is so hard to match for people. He gets in your face and he will throw punches and he does not gas out. And he is insanely muscular. He has really good power with great striking. And Jordan Wright's going to keep this fight on the feet. And as we know, Anthony Hernandez is not as powerful as Joaquin Buckley is. And if Hernandez knocked him out, Joaquin Buckley can absolutely knock him out. And I just want to say this. I kind of pride myself of not getting caught in recency bias. Some of my best picks are looking past recency bias. And you may be thinking, you're just picking Buckley because of his recent knockout. No. It was a great knockout, sure, but I just think stylistically, he's way too tough of a fight for Jordan Wright because Jordan Wright likes to fight at range. Inside, when people get in the pocket with him, he gets uncomfortable. And there's not many fighters better in outside the top 15 and even inside the lower top 15 at middleweight that can get in on fighters better than Joaquin Buckley. He gets inside. He will make you pay. Joaquin Buckley is going to win this fight. He's going to finish him. I think that Jordan Wright's finally going to be exposed. People are going to see that he's not actually as good as his record states because it's padded. It's padded as all hell. Joaquin Buckley has fought so much of the harder competition, and he gave Kevin Holland a tough fight. And as we know, Kevin Holland is one of the better fighters out there at middleweight, and he knocked Impa Kasanganay out cold when Impa Kasanganay is a great, great prospect coming in from LFA. LFA always makes good fights. Joaquin Buckley, second round knockout again.
Wow. So, yeah, man, this fight happens. Joaquin Buckley defeats Jordan Wright. Give me James Krause, Joaquin Buckley. please.
That's not gonna happen. He's not
I
gonna move
want
up.
it. I want it.
I want it to. It's not gonna happen.
But yeah, if you guys don't know, there's a lot of beef there. Well, I wouldn't say a lot of beef, but there's some beef there. Check it out. Do your research. It's a good read. So yeah, so we got an agreement here, man. I kind of expected to have an agreement here. It's just looking at the betting odds, just to mention it to you guys, 1.36 multiplier for Joaquin Buckley on this one. Not too bad at all. So make sure you guys are taking this one into play when you're looking over your parlays. Make sure you guys are checking out UFC.calculator as well to check out
Shameless plug.
top bets as well. Shameless plug. I know I'm terrible, but make sure you guys are just checking out the other fight pick videos. Make sure you guys are liking the video, subscribing to the channel. I'm gonna say it again. I love doing this. Check out the other fight pick videos.